In Matchbox 20 we trust. Florida's name be praised.
Yeah.
All hail the mighty Epcot.
Rob Thomas. He's in that band,
Rob
right?
Thomas to you, my
Rob
brother.
Thomas to you, sir. Yes, sir. Hello, Sonic City Council is now in session. Thank you once again, fellow citizens, for tuning in, whether it be in your headphones, your car, your home, your mind. We appreciate you very much. Davey Sipes, how are you today, sir?
Stalwart companion who goes by the name of Jesse Davidson.
Yeah.
I bid you the warmest and the most gracious of greetings.
Oh, yes.
Hi, babies.
Oh, man.
I'm going to tell you how I got these scars.
Ooh.
Actually, let's save it for the outro. What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about how it's lovely to see you, as always. I want to talk about...
The wind hit you at the right time.
Yeah. I was going to say,
You catch that?
I've noticed this on a couple of the episodes when we got the fan going, then I just...
Yeah, just luxuriate in that. Yeah. You're a rock god, my friend.
No, I'm
With the guitar in the background.
I'm just here, just a person.
He's a rock god! Put in the comments.
Jeez.
Look at finally globuled.
Yeah, I think your violent striking of the gavel was enough to jar the lava lamp loose.
Thank you.
It's been a little bit sticky lately. I don't know. Do lava lamps stick? I don't know.
They do things. It's the humidity, and I don't know. Our science escapes us.
Yeah, if WD-40 was required to like fix this, like a moving part, it would definitely need some WD-40 at the top of this lava lamp. It's getting a little bit.
I'll say.
Yeah, it's.
I don't know if it's required, but can we use it anyway?
Yeah, old Bertha's getting up there.
Bertha.
Yeah.
Citizens, you're free to rename this lava lamp anytime you want. You just gotta throw it in the comments of this or the next episode.
Yeah.
After that, fuck you.
Yeah.
It's gotta keep it fresh.
That's Davey. It's a take it or leave it sort of lava lamp policy.
Yep,
sort of
screaming
like
maniac of the intro. That's what I do.
No, sort of a no shirt, no shoes, no lava lamp sort of vibe going on.
That's right. If there was no lava lamp, it'd be all chesties right now.
All chesties.
It'd just be like pecs out. It'd be like just blinding y'all.
Yeah. It is
basically like a key. If we both, if you and me stood in the right corners of the room, we could light for like a proper TV production.
Yeah, absolutely. I was gonna say I add that to my resume. You know,
right?
Yeah.
Put it on your CV.
Yeah, you know.
I've done a few lighting gigs.
Yeah, a few lighting gigs. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So,
Rambling Man.
Tell
us about your life.
Well, I am in less than 24 hours. I will be getting on a plane to go do the teching thing.
Seaplane or airplane?
Airplane.
Shit.
Ooh, see.
Touche.
That's why you're my attorney. You leave no stone unturned. Oh.
No stern untoned.
No stern untoned. Yeah. So I will be doing the tech thing. I posted about this on my IG, and this podcast will be coming out in a couple weeks. And as we are banking a few of these while I am away, but I'll be going out with the lovely Lita Ford and crew and band and company.
Legend.
Yeah, going out for the summer, and this is sort of my stepping back into the tech world. I was supposed to be doing that last year before
But then you
before
got
the
so
accident.
busy with staying at home all the time for no reason.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
I like just randomly binge watching TV shows, baking banana bread, you know, any sort of, what are some other COVID hobbies? Banana bread.
Picking up another instrument. I don't do hobbies well.
Yeah, picking up an...
Sourdough was a thing.
Yeah, sourdough. Yeah, a lot of... Yeah, you know, I just decided to sort of like, you know...
Some people were living their best fucking COVID life and just baked different cakes and ate them.
Yeah.
And now they're just like, I'm so happy we get to go out now.
Yeah. Hey, you know...
No judgment.
Yeah, live
I've
your
been
life.
a fat fuck my whole life. That sounded weird. I mean, I really have been pretty fat for most of my life.
Hey, I've been there too. It's all good. No, this
Not
is
now, though.
Is a no judgment zone in the Sonic
Just
City
like
Council.
Planet Fitness.
Except for if you bang the gavel too hard, there'll be a weird alarm that just goes off.
Yeah,
in the corner.
exactly. You gotta be careful with that. Do your reps clean. Don't be all like thrusty.
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
Don't slam the gavel too hard, or the lunk
Yeah.
alarm will go off in the studio.
Exactly. No lunk alarm. You're better than that. We're
Yeah.
watching you, dog. You don't gotta show off like
Yeah.
that. Why are we here?
We are here. Aside from building up some of these podcasts,
Building a mystery.
Yeah, I was reaching out to different friends and trying to tape stuff while I was home this week with you guys, and I reached out to a few friends, and one of them being the multi-talented Adam Kury from Candlebox. So,
What?
Yeah.
That's
Adam,
a deep pull, bro.
Yeah, Adam is not just a bass player and well-rounded musician, but he's also an engineer as well. And basically what I like to think of as like the epitome of somebody working in the music business. They, can do multiple things very well, and they have lots of different gigs that they work with. And it's just really just a lesson in, what actually working in the music business is like. And you have to wear a lot of different hats, and you got to be adaptable and be flexible. And Adam is not just those things, but I've worked with him before and became friends with him, and he's just such a down to earth, cool guy, and actually has some AV history with mixing Bad Donkey, which consists of Walker Gibson, if any of y'all know Walker, and Sean from Candlebox. Man, last name.
Hennessy.
Hennessy, thank you. This is why you're my attorney. So Sean Hennessy and Walker Gibson were in that band, and Adam did some mixing for them, and Walker has played with Adam before, and things like that on different gigs. So Adam is just a great guy to talk to, and I think would be a wonderful addition to the sort of vibe we got going on here.
I think so. I think he'll do a lot for the circular patterns of air we're creating when we do this.
Yeah. He's friends with me despite the hand gestures I incessantly make.
That's huge in itself. Yeah. That means he looks deep within character.
Yeah.
Like I do.
Yeah. So there you go.
Well, let's talk to this guy, because this is a serious conversation then.
Yes, let's do that.
Okay. Okay.
All right, Adam Kury, thank you so much for joining us on Sonic City Council today. We appreciate you stopping by.
Of course, thank you guys.
Yeah, man. Well, it's always a treat when we get the bass player guest, and then we have two bass player hosts of this podcast. So just a fair warning to the listeners out there: it might get a little in depth and a little nerdy, but that's all right. You gotta do it sometimes.
Just go start looking for your
How we
beginner
do it.
bass if you don't already play, so you
Yeah.
can get over it. Just join us.
Yeah.
Go buy a bass on Amazon, come back, and then you'll understand what
Yeah.
we're talking
Put-
about while
put-
you tune up.
Put this on pause. Get a Squire. They're usually
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good entry point,
Yeah.
and then you can follow along with us at
Yeah.
home. Well, before we get into
Actually, old school Squire is my favorite bass.
Really?
Oh, really?
Okay. Well, actually, tangent before I
Yeah.
start asking you questions about your career and life and whatnot. Are you into like the 80s Squires and like that particular, the made in Japan area?
Billy Squire?
Yeah.
I finally got one last year, and it's become my number one bass.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
I'm gonna get more.
Okay.
Sick.
Well, do tell. Do you have like the specs on it as far as like, what it's made out of, the year, like all that good stuff, or is it more of a mystery?
It's an 80s one. I mean, it's
Okay.
what it's made out of. I think most of the basses are made out of alder, from what I know.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Sometimes they went to ash, but that was more for the guitars.
Yeah.
But they're almost always alder. And I mean, it's right up there with I got a 70p bass and a 72, and they're right up there with it. This one's got a little different characteristic. It's got all the same stuff, but it's got this really cool like upper mid cut.
Yeah.
It's a little spankier,
Yep.
but without losing the body.
Yeah.
Of course, it came with a badass bridge on it, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it as well.
That definitely helps. It definitely helps. Yeah, I just recently found one. We've got a record store in town. I'm sure you've been. It's called Full Score Music in Quartz Hill. And
Sure.
yeah, shout out to them. But he had an 80, I think it was like an 83 or 84 made in Japan Squire P bass in there. And it was like $300, and I was like,
What?
What is? Yeah, and I was like, what is this? He's like, oh yeah, and it's like just found this at an estate sale or something like that. Nobody's come in and claimed it yet.
Did you buy it?
Oh yeah. It just came in the shop. This was like
Oh.
2 or 3 years ago,
Okay.
and got a hold of it, and
Okay.
man, it has come in handy for recordings or like writing. When I pick that thing up, I just start playing
Yeah.
different ideas and bass lines than I
Yeah.
normally would. It just unplugged, even without going into an amp, it sings,
Lucky.
Now, is it the regular one or is it a bullet?
No, it's not a bullet. It's one of the regular ones, and whoever had it
Wow, did you
before-
got a great deal?
Thank you,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, it was like $350, something like that. And I love anything funky on any old basses. I love, and so a little nerdy detail about it is whoever had it before me put the Fender Strat knobs on it. So it's
Oh.
got the black like Stratocaster like guitar knobs,
Okay.
and so that was just somebody's preference. Whoever
Yeah, yeah.
had it, and I was like, it's a weird little detail that I
Interesting.
like. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the black on black, finish with the black pick guard, like sort of the Roger Waters vibe. And I was like, oh, dude, that's it. Oh,
Oh, are we reaching for a bass?
yeah.
I'm
You,
hopeful.
you mean kind of like this one?
Woo!
Literally exact.
Damn,
we have
brother.
the exact same bass, minus
yeah.
the badass bridge. We have the
Yeah.
exact same bass.
Holy shit.
Oh my god!
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
it's really
great.
great. That's my favorite right now. Actually.
Oh,
I mean,
dude.
they're all like, the difference is kind of like negligible between all the ones I have, but
Sure.
that one is kind of like been my fun one. Maybe because it's the newest one. I don't know.
Yeah. No, dude, there's something about that particular one. It just like sings, man. There's something about it that when you're
Yes.
either recording with it or playing it unplugged, it's like you said, it's got a really good, it's got a nice mid cut that just sits really well in a mix, but it just doesn't get in the way of anything. It doesn't sound like too harsh or sound like really punky. It's just, I don't know, something about it's just like that particular class of basses is just like perfect.
Yep. Well, that's why a P bass has been made like that for 60, 70 years. That design hasn't changed because they got it right. Leo Fender knew what he was doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you taking that one out on the road, or is that just going to be an at-home in-studio bass?
No, actually, I am going to take that one out on the road only because, well, not only because, it's kind of like the new toy, so I want to bring it out. But, when you're traveling, it is like any gear you bring on the road, in the back of your mind, you're willing to sacrifice that instrument because things happen on the road.
You have
So
to.
if something were to happen to it, the cost to replace that one is far less than the cost to replace like my 70p bass.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like
absolutely.
it's like a quarter of the price.
Yes.
So, but it sounds just as good. So to me, it's just going to be fun. I've never, I've dragged that 72 around as my number one bass for years, and I might retire it, from the road at least.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah. That's a solid move. Yeah, it's there's something about some of the old school players like Malcolm Young from AC/DC was like that, or a few other people, where they would take their main guitars with them that they recorded the songs with, and it was their number one forever. Willie Nelson's like that with his with Trigger. Yeah. And I'm always. I hear
your
those
eggs in one proverbial basket.
Yeah, all the horror stories of just gear getting broken on flights or getting broken at gigs, and it's like, man, kudos to them for taking it out there and just, hey, that's my workhorse. This is my guitar. I'm gonna play it.
Sure.
Same to you for taking that
some of the
72
cats
out there.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, the 72 is not pristine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's got wear on it. It looks like it's been around the block a bit.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. So it's not like I'm like devaluing this pristine collector's item, first off, but some of the guys that get really hardcore with that, I've known stories of several guys, especially if they travel, those guys that travel with like those 59 Les Pauls, they'll buy a seat on a plane. They'll pay a second ticket and they'll set that guitar on the plane with them because, those guitars are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, At that point, buy a seat on the plane,
Yeah.
I'm not quite in that budget area, but I got nice stuff, but nothing that I'm going to lose my house over if the guitar disappears.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Definitely.
That's a tough market to be in. I feel like I'd never be comfortable with a guitar that nice. I don't think.
Yeah. No, that's a at home.
Not on the road, man. I couldn't do it either.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I mean, to me, like you take something on the road, it's like anything that you paid over like $4 or $5 grand for, I'm not traveling with it. Just not going to do it.
Couldn't convince me to do it. Jesus.
Yeah, no, same with me too. It's just, especially like working shows where I've literally had people unpack a like a flight bag. This is one show, but I'll never forget it. It was Rodney Atkins, and I was working local crew.
Woo!
They pulled out. It was the Les Paul was all right, but they had an American just standard Strat, and they pulled it out, and the headstock was dangling like this, and everybody on the crew, especially all the musicians went and jumped back in horror. And it was even it's like, hey, they check it and they pay for whatever, and it's like they've got the reinforced flight bag road case. It's like things happen, and you don't want to have that happen to you on a gig if that was a 55 Strat or a 59 or a 60.
Yeah,
don't even. Or like a what is it, like the broadcaster, the no caster, like the even more rare shit.
Yeah, no, that's a at home in the case studio guitar.
I feel that.
Yeah, I feel that. Well, speaking of the road and touring, you are somebody that, to me, is the epitome of a working musician on the road. You're playing with multiple bands. Candlebox. You started off your career in Legs Diamond, as well as before Candlebox, you were doing the High Watts with Kevin from Candlebox. And so you've been on the road, I think, since probably, I would say your early 20s, or, it's like since, I don't know. I would.
It's a guesstimate.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know exactly like when you got on the road, but early 20s, around that time?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, as a matter of fact, my first touring gig, actually going out and leaving the town you live in, kind of, so to speak, and it was a UK tour with the Legs Diamond band you mentioned. That was in '92.
Wow.
So I've been doing it for a while.
Wow.
A hot minute here. So and I'm with the Sons of Silver stuff, and we still tour and do stuff with that band. We got an EP out now and another one coming. Got the Candlebox record coming out this year. So awesome. If everything opens up right, it's going to be a busy time. But as like you said, that working musician, none of these bands work that often where you're like, okay, cool, I got my one gig. You know what I mean? Right. So because you want to be able to survive and do this, and even still, I mean, I'm not even on the road in most 6 months out of the year on a busy year, because you're out for a few weeks, you're back home, you're out.
Yeah.
All the bands I'm with, guys have done this for a while, and guys have wives and kids, and you don't want to disappear for 8 months. You know what I mean? It's too hard to do.
Yeah.
So we've all kind of like been in that good position where it's like it's kind of an unspoken thing, but we'll go out usually for 2 to 3 weeks at most at a run. This year I'm going out for a little bit longer just because everything's starting up again, and the metrics are different. Everyone's trying to find a way to make this work financially.
Right.
But it was, I think it was in 2007, 2008. Candlebox released the Into the Sun record that we did.
Yes.
And then also Sean Hennessy, who you know well.
Oh yeah.
And Dave Cruzen was the drummer in a band called Kings Royal. And Walker Gibson actually came in and filled and played keys on that. Another cat.
Oh yeah, I remember when he got
that year.
Yep.
That guy gets
that was crazy. I'll come back to that in a second.
Yeah.
But Candlebox was out that year. We were out for 12 weeks solid that summer, and Kings Royal opened up for 10 of those 12 weeks. So for 10 weeks solid, Sean and I played 2 shows every night. And man, let me tell you, we got done. We were tired. And I think even just in the guys that were in one band, that was the tour that even the guys in Candlebox were like, we're never going out for that stretch again. Like that's 12 weeks. That's too long. It's one thing if you're single and you're in your 20s and you got nothing else going on. Yeah, who cares? Like you're better off on the road than you are at home. But once you start having families and things, it wears on you.
For sure.
Yeah.
But yes, Walker. So that guy, man.
Yeah.
He had the crazy thing. So we had to fire the keyboard player we had with us like halfway through the tour. We literally were sending Walker the stuff saying, look, dude, learn the stuff. You're going to come out. You're going to jump in. It's only an opening slot, but still it's, a good half hour worth of music every night. You had to know like 6 to 8 songs really well. And he actually flew in and met us in Spokane, Washington, and he did an interview, a video interview as a member of the band before he'd even played a note with any of us.
Wow.
So we went up there and we did a quick sound check, and we ran through as much that we could, which wasn't, it was maybe half the set at best. And we hit the stage, and to his credit, man, I don't remember the guy missing a note for the entire set with no rehearsal, no anything, So, I mean, that's kind of like the lesson out there, if you're wanting to do this, man, have your stuff together, learn your parts, come in and know what's going on. At least, even if things change, like you don't know exactly how a thing's going to end or anything, but you know what's coming. You can kind of read other people, feel it, and learn how to like improvise. Sean was always a good one of saying, he used to do all these like pick slides and all this stuff. He goes, when you hear me doing that, that means I forgot what I'm doing. He just does a pick slide. And then he's like, oh yeah, coming back in here, and you find your ways to hunt around it. Bass players, we have a harder time doing that, but still the same point.
Tricky. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I can't get by with the atmospherics like that. Like
no,
guitar
yeah,
players.
it's I was gonna say when that foundation starts to shift between drums and guitar world and key world, it gets a little bit the cruise ship is going like this, and the boat the boat is rocking a little bit. But there's
those low register notes can take down the whole team,
Yeah, absolutely.
They stick out.
Well, and also too, there's a term that I love. I think it's a Victor Wooten term that he calls, or it might be Anthony Wellington, one of the two, rebounds. And so, when as a bass player, when you know how to recover just based on when the you know what key you're in, or what sort of relative key you're in, or any of that, that you might make a mistake, and not hit what you're supposed to hit. But if you know how to turn that into something usable and workable and even musical at that point, then that's, a rebound. And like in basketball, they give you an award for the most, rebounds in the game. And so if you can find those musical rebounds, that's, I'd say that's key as a bass player. That's kind of saved me a few times, wouldn't you say?
100%. I was like, when I started out, I was very worried about the wrong note at the wrong time. And then I realized that when I got my time developed, then I realized that like that wrong note is really just a chord extension. If you have the presence of mind to stay calm and let it just be a nifty chord extension, and then find that fucking third of that root so that you actually make that the portrait, and then just move on. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I definitely agree with that for sure.
Yeah. And that's, I'm sure you've learned little tips and tricks like that when you've been on, as long as you've been playing, Adam, you know how to rebound fairly well, or, have those moments where you actually have turned that.
Pretty well. Yeah. I mean, you still don't like to put yourself in a position where you really don't know a song and you don't know what's coming. I've been through lots of things where people have coached me through and yelled out what the chord changes are. And that's great.
Yeah.
And then there's sometimes you just, if you have time to prepare, you make little notes about things so you don't get too lost. You know what I mean? What your chords or what key you're in. Like you say, first off, as long as the song doesn't change key, you should be able to always kind of land on your feet, which is, in the old school term, that's why they call them cats, right? Because they always land on their feet.
Yeah.
So it's really, you start to recover with things like that. And then, if you don't know what's going on, man, take a look at the guys around you. Look at somebody's hands. I can't tell you how many times I've done that. What chord's that guy playing? Oh, cool. Yeah. Okay. There was a bridge I wasn't anticipating, but here we go,
Yeah.
And if you have to, like I said, if you're in the key, you can sometimes come in on a wrong note and play a cool run and end up on the note you need to. I took lessons years ago from great, phenomenal jazz bass player, Bunny Burnell. And it was more had to do with soloing that stuff. Yeah. Bunny's the shit, man. That guy, he knows stuff.
Jazz, bro.
But the word of wisdom he gave to me when we were working on stuff and soloing over changes, he was like, don't be afraid of playing a wrong note. He says, if you're going to count the octave, there's 12 notes chromatically. There's generally speaking 8 in a scale. So if you play a wrong note, the right note is a half step away. No matter which way you go with it, you're going to be back in the scale somehow. So it's a matter of, like you said, can you take that wrong note and can you do something with it? Because some of the coolest stuff in the world comes from, playing that wrong note and getting the unexpected and making something out of it. We talk about all the time, what's that Pink Floyd, Shine On You Crazy Diamond, doom, down, doom, down, right? That was a mistake. And Gilmour talks about it. He was trying to play, I think, just like a regular A major, and he got one finger off on a string, and he played that. But instead of going, oh, that was a mistake and moved on, he was like, well, wait a minute, what was that? Wasn't what I was trying to play, but that was a cool thing. And it became an iconic, little progression there. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and things like that too often can play into, like you say, could be a bigger musical moment that you anticipated. Because if you're looking at that song as an example, as a complete piece, the lyrical themes and sort of talking about, Syd Barrett and people who, aren't here anymore, things like that. And like that dissonance in that note fits the lyrics and the whole picture of that song so well, other than what you would have intended that to be,
Yeah, it made it very haunting. I don't know if that whole song spawned from that little chord or not, but in my mind it did. And I don't know if he's trying to do something else, but you're right. It totally suited that. Like whether the lyrics came after or they came before, it certainly suited the mood.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, and, talking about things from a complete perspective, you having the engineering mindset that you do where you're not just a bass player, just a musician, bass player, guitar player, because I've looked it up and you dabbled a little bit in guitar, I think at first, when you first started taking lessons. So you can play multiple instruments, but you also have the picture of engineering a song or like thinking about something in probably a whole sonic cohesive work as opposed to just your job as a rhythm section. And so with thinking about that, do you approach your writing style differently now that you've been engineering as you used to when you were younger? Do you approach like a session differently as an engineer and a bass player now? How does that perspective tie into things?
Well, I think just the years of doing it, I think you get a little bit better perspective. I think the tendency when you're younger is you're more focused on what you personally are doing, and getting away from the how can I come up with something that's really cool that might impress somebody, versus once you let go of that and are like, what makes this song shine? But yet at the same time, also your particular part, you want it to be significant. You don't want at any time, if there's a part that doesn't really contribute to a song, get rid of it, in my opinion. Play something that's important. Strip it down to the bare basics if you have to, but make sure whatever's going on is important. That the groove, that pocket has got to be there. And the bass is it's the go-between, because it's got the rhythmic value of the drums. It's got, the foundational chord value that you're playing, and you can also add melody and you can color things as well. So it really is kind of the apex point of all the things that are going on, right? It's generally speaking not the star instrument, but it incorporates everything. If you're doing your job well, in my opinion, there are exceptions for it. I mean, if like you're playing in a punk rock band, then you better pick up a pick and do exactly what that guitar player's doing. That's the job in a punk rock band,
Right.
If you're doing it in just about anything else, you're trying to find something that moves the song rhythmically in the right way. And also I kind of feel like if you were to take all the keys and guitars and drop them out and just went bass, drums, and vocal, that song should still work. You know what I mean? And it's
absolutely.
So then you, by doing that, you give the freedom to those other instruments to do what they want. You know what I mean? If an instrument can't, if an instrument can't disappear and the other instruments carry the song, then they're not doing the right thing, or they're not key instruments. It could be like a layering thing, or sometimes people do all these different overdubs. I kind of feel like less is more. I kind of like to write and record live with the other players. You certainly can add a few things after, but never do that thing of, we'll find something cool for this. Like, no, find it now, because that's the vibe that's happening. And you all play to those things. I mean, it's like somebody hands me a song to play bass on. If there's no vocal on it, I'm a little apprehensive, because I can do all kinds of things, but I don't know what that melody is, and I don't want to step on that melody. So if I get handed something without a vocal, I tend to be more conservative, because I don't want to box somebody in,
Definitely.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that that's also. It seems like that's always a concern anytime we'll take a gig. It's not just wanting to stick to the root note, not just wanting to stick to the basics. It's trying to find where the part fits in exactly. And I think something you mentioned too with like the vibe is super important. Like there's a reason why it's called capturing something when you're recording, like especially in a band context,
Yeah.
because I almost feel
Mhm.
like when you listen to old recordings, new recordings, and you've got a live band, it really is you're capturing that moment in time, and that's why so many old songs can feel youthful today, because there's something about the
Right.
essence of, like take Black Sabbath for example, just four guys in a room.
Here they are.
Yeah, here they are.
Hello,
in
mates.
Davey's
Yeah.
palm. Yeah, you have four guys in a room or in a recording studio playing, and they recorded that maybe when they were in their early 20s, and when you're listening to it, you're not listening to them as they evolved and as they got older. You're listening to a living document of that time, I feel like. And so when
I see what you mean.
yeah, and so when you're talking about that as when you're functioning as a unit, I think it really works best, as you said, finding where your place is, but not trying to overstep the vocal, not trying to, just think about your part in
Right.
that. And then when it becomes a part of that bigger unit, it really speaks for itself, I think.
You said bigger unit.
Yeah.
I did.
100%. I mean, Sabbath is a great example. I mean, I think, and there's a difference between being a musician backing a particular artist versus being in a group or an ensemble or a band. There's different approaches, right?
Yes.
So when you're say like going to go back up, some big pop artist, you really don't want to put too much of your personality into that thing, because you're not the focal point. You want to play a great part, you want to do a great performance, but you're not looking to shine because that's not your job at that moment, right? But when you're in a group, everyone's trying to contribute something so that the group, everyone shines as a whole. Sabbath is a great example. I mean, every single person in that group stood out in their own way. They filled their own spot, and that's the difference. Even when you get to, like, you break away and you take Ozzy and his solo career, he had certain guys, in particular guitar players, that he always grabbed a guitar player that could stand out. But the rest of the band just laid down a great track. They weren't looking to be that thing, which is you have to. I think that's a big thing of being aware of what you're doing, what the context is. It's kind of the same thing of like we all have ideas and things to contribute, but if you're hired for a session, for the most part, shut up unless somebody asks you, right? But if you're in a band, you throw out opinions left and right, and they don't always get taken, and you can even get into arguments. The last thing you ever want to do is get into an argument when you're hired to back up an artist. That's not your job,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So
No.
you have different, you have different things, that goes along there. I mean, I've been in sessions where people have gone, yeah, that's really cool, but I want you to play exactly this. It's like, okay, well, why don't you sing that to me or show me that again? I'll do whatever you want, but and you do those things and they're cool. But to me, the greatest thing is when you just get a bunch of people in a room and nobody says shit to anybody else. You just go, you know what? Here's the song. Each individual come up with something cool to contribute to this song. And you hope that you capture a moment. And that's the thing, is you're kind of like, tapping around with a cane like a blind guy until you find that curve, right? You know what I mean? Oh, I got something here. You're all musicians, you're all doing things, and you're all doing good stuff. But when you capture something that feels magical, that's what makes it all worthwhile. And that's a fleeting thing. You can't always recreate it. So a group that can do it over and over again, that's a superstar group, because not everybody can. I mean, most people, it comes and it goes. You get it for a minute, then you lose it,
Right. Yeah, it's a living, breathing thing for sure. Yeah, and I think too, you really shine on a lot of the tracks. As an example for that, you would say, I don't know, you've been in Candlebox for a while now, because I wanted to ask a little bit about your approach to like writing and tracking with that. Would you say that it's kind of in between like the band world and also hired to back up an artist? Are you more of a member of the band now, or if you can get into that sort of thing? Because for me, I hear a song like on the last record, Alive at Last, on Disappearing at Airports. To me, it's like your bass playing really came through, and you had a great tone and a great bass line for that song, but it sat perfectly in there. And so I'm wondering if that's more of your style coming into play. Is it more of like a part that's written for the songs? I'm curious how that whole process works for you.
Well, Candlebox is been a really great thing with me, and I love working with Kevin. Well, one thing that Kevin has always been very good at is he surrounds himself with people who he likes what they do. So I mean, I've been working with him since 2002 with the High Watts, like all these years, and we've done so many records together, and we even did like that La Projet thing, with Morgan Rose. We've had a couple of other things we've done. But he's, in all that time, I think there's maybe been 3 times when he's asked me to play something different. Basically, I come in and do what I do, and I'm there because he likes what I do. And he's good at finding people like that. Like, the last thing anybody really wants, and in particular him, is to have to micromanage a musician. You don't want to do that, because when you do, then they get inhibited. They don't play open and freely. So you find people that you're like, hey, I'm just going to wind them up and let them go, and they're going to do what we need. So I've been very fortunate in that regard, that like there's very little in that. Kevin's thing is all about his lyrics, his melodies, putting together the songs and things. And then, he has a band that he likes, and he just wants those guys to do what they do. I mean, it's almost like in a producer's thing, like, I'm not digging how this is going. Let's work on this a little bit more. But he almost never gets down into the micromanagement of, hey, this line you're playing here, I want you to change this note. I want you to, like, that's not his thing. It takes him out of his headspace. So I've been lucky in that regard. So as far as the writing stuff goes, it goes back and forth. I mean, we've had different experiences recording, where if you go back to, say, I'm blanking on the name, Love Stories and Other Musings. When we did that record, Ken Andrews produced that one. We did that one at NRG, and Ken was very much a fine-tooth comb producer. When we came in there and we got the basics laid down, then he was like, okay, I want to edit drums. Okay. And then, we come back in and he's like, okay, I've got some drums edited. He goes, let's do some bass on this. And I was like, well, don't you want to listen to the bass that we laid down? We played as a full band. He's like, no, I want to start from scratch. And for me, it's like, okay, I'll do that. But it's like, to play to the tracks afterwards is not as easy as it was to play going down. You know what I mean? It's different. And in 1 or 2 songs, he edited up the drums, and they became actually difficult to play to, because the parts we had laid down moved. You know what I mean? Now he's edited and time corrected some things, and we went through that. And I mean, it's a process, and I get it. I mean, everyone's got their own thing. So we got all of the basics done in 2 weeks on that record. And then the 3rd week was for Kevin's lead vocals, and we had to get back out on the road. And then they ended up doing supplemental keys and some backgrounds while we were out on the road. There's that perspective. And then you get to Disappearing in Airports, which was so by the seat of your pants, you can't even imagine. I mean, we had gotten together and worked on a few of the songs here and there. And we had cataloged things over the couple of years leading up to it. And there was actually like an error. Kevin thought he had sent the songs we had worked on to everybody, but he didn't. So we got into the studio there in Pennsylvania at a live studio out there in York. And we got in there, and he was like, okay, we're going to work on this, or we're going to do that song. And he got really mad at us at one point. He's like, you guys haven't listened to the songs. You guys aren't up to speed with all of this. And I was like, I never got anything, to be honest with you. And he's like, no way I sent it. And he checked, and he hadn't sent it. So we did that record basically cold. And there were actually 1 or 2 songs we wrote there. But I can say this, the bass and drums that you hear on that record, the entire thing was done in 3 days.
Whoa.
Live. And a couple of the songs were written. There were 2 songs that were literally first takes. Like, we went out in the room. We were like, okay, we kind of worked on it a little bit. We're like, okay, let's lay one down. We laid it down, and the engineer was like, I don't I don't hear anything that I'm missing from this. And you guys need anything? And we were like, no, I felt good about it. So that was it. I think there was one song I did a couple of punches on, and there was one song that I came into the booth and started from scratch, which was Spotlights, because that one's a very minimalistic bass thing. And I wasn't sure what to do with it because it's when you get minimalistic, then everything becomes really important, right? So there's actually no bass on the verses. I wanted to leave it completely open. And then there's the chorus, and there's that little turnaround melody on the 2s and 4s, so the passes. So, but other than that, I mean, it was literally done live. I think like 3.5 days, all the basics were done on that. And then it was guitars for the rest of the week. Yeah. And then some supplemental overdubs and vocals the week after that. And that was so fast. 12 tracks in 3 days.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
that we hadn't rehearsed, no pre-production. We walked in cold.
Speaking of Sabbath again, holy shit. It's like that's a total I caught that in a little interview you did. I found it on YouTube, and you mentioned that, and it's like was a total old school like throwback approach, as far as like all that, where it's like, hey, we got the studio for this amount of time, we got to get it done. And there is something about that record in, listening to it, especially on Only Because of You, like that opening track. There's something really like ambient and live about it, and it's really just, I don't know, there's something about that record and listening to it I really liked, because it's just a blending of a bunch of different styles, but it's got this freshness and this snappiness to it. Like, and again, on like Alive at Last, it reminded me of that Quincy Jones record, Live at Q's Juke Joint or whatever, when it's like engineered to sound like a live record. And just something about your bass tone on that just sounded like really live and subby. And just overall, the whole record, I got that vibe from it. And I think even when you have to go through a situation like that and there's a challenge you're not expecting, I think you got something really cool out of it you wouldn't have gotten maybe otherwise.
Sure. And that's the thing is you get every experience. And that's the thing with music and any sort of art. It's a moment in time, right? And so the energy in the room contributes to how things come out, and I think that even if you bring in all the same people and everything, every record, every experience is unique and different. There's some similarities, some things you can lean on and go tos, but it's a different time in your life. Even if it's 6 months later, it's a different period in your world. So it is always natural, and you can't necessarily recreate. I kind of like that each of the records that we've done have had completely different approaches and vibes. Some were written in pre-production, and everything was tightened before we went in. Some went in and were beaten up in the studio, and some were just done on the fly, just completely like, hey, just everyone be on point. We're getting this done fast here and now, and they're all very valid and very intriguing ways to work, I think.
Yeah, they definitely are. I'm curious though, do you feel like you can actually hear that quality when you go back and listen to the studio recordings? Like, does the impression come across like,
yes
I
and
can
no.
hear? Yeah, okay. Like, do things feel
yes
like,
and no. I mean, I think that I certainly recognize the different experiences. I think not so much necessarily from the bass perspective, but I can tell some records are a little more polished and precious, and some are a little more raw. I think that happens. I mean, as far as even the ones that were beat up, generally speaking, we got bass sounds and we just ran with them. I mean, I think every song on Disappearing, I think I just used that 72p bass. I think for Love Stories, I think there were a couple of songs where I used my Rickenbacker with flat wounds on it. And the funny thing is, I can't really tell you which ones they were. I know I used it. So, you go back. Actually, in the new record, I used the P bass and the Rickenbacker as well. So it's, you kind of just grab what you feel works, but I guess where I was going is, generally speaking, there's not a lot of deviation. So even though it's song to song, my setup doesn't really change. Like, you set it up, you get the amp going, you get the thing. You might kick on an effect here or there, but there's no rebuilding for each song,
Yeah. Yeah,
Cool.
pretty tried and true tone wise all the way through. And I guess that, for being the kind of band that you guys are, it makes sense, because if you're going for the
Sure.
live band sort of feel, or it's like, hey, this is us, we're getting together to make a record, then you can probably replicate it a lot easier live than if you were like changing out a bunch of different effects and using a bunch of different amp sims for different songs and using a bunch of different
Right. Right.
things. It's like when you guys play live, it's kind of like what you see is what you get, and it's like, this is us, we made the records, it's going to sound, that's a quality people really love in various bands.
Yeah. Well, and in that case, that does add up to playing lives is easy for us in that regard. As
Yeah,
far as,
cool.
when we step out on stage, we can do exactly what we did in the studio because we didn't do a whole bunch of things to make this happen. We don't play to like a bunch of backing tracks and things like that. We've done that on a couple of songs where we've had like key parts where we haven't, traveled with a keyboard player or whatever, but generally speaking, it's just, we walk out and we just play, which is very free and liberating. There's, we're not worried about keeping up with a click track or we can't extend this section because there's something else coming in. It's like, we can just play and we have the freedom to mix it up where we like to,
yeah.
which,
awesome.
I mean,
That is nice.
most of the songs we still play as they are, but there are those moments where you're like, you'll get into a mode and, sometimes Kevin will turn around and just go, keep it going. If somebody's got a really good solo going on, he'll go, do it again, one more time or whatever, whatever it may be. So it's,
That's cool.
I think, Kevin's a punk rocker in his origins. So he kind of likes a little bit of that mayhem. He likes a little bit of that unexpected, and the ability to kind of just throw it around a bit on stage,
Yeah. Well, that's I'm sure it's exciting for the fans that are coming to see you guys on a regular basis, because it's like, oh, hey, they extended that part, or oh, hey, you took a really long solo there, and the moments like that keep it
Sure.
fresh for everybody. It keeps it fresh for you guys, the audience, and so that's why you see a band,
Yeah.
man.
Right. Well, and,
Yeah.
and to that point, I mean, even, I understand both elements here, but when we go out on tour, we don't rehearse a set list and play it for the tour. I mean,
Oh,
literally every day, usually by the end of sound check, Kevin will put up a new set list. So we have like staples, obviously we'll go out and we know we're going to play these songs on this tour, but every single night we at least swap out a couple of songs. And especially if it's a longer tour, like we got coming up, usually about every 2 weeks. Okay, let's rebuild a complete new set list. You're still going to hear a lot of the same songs, but let's open with this one now. Let's make these first 4 songs be this. Sometimes it'll be even something to do with tunings. Like let's open up a 3-drop D song, just so we don't have to bounce around back and forth, or you'll kind of group them together. Like these ones were doing good at the middle of the set. Okay, now let's put them at the middle of the set. We went from the beginning to the middle. And it's just, and then you kind of vibe how things are. But to your point, it also keeps it from being automatic for us. You know what I mean? We always need to be on point. As long as we have the same set list in front of us, we're okay.
Yeah.
We had a show one time a few years ago, and some reason Brian got a different set list put in front of him.
Uh-oh.
And the first song was right, but we go to the second song and he's giving us looks from across the stage, like we're in a whole different song. And we realized about the third song, he had a set list from 2 nights ago, some reason put in front of him and not the one we were doing. So
oh no,
you always got to be on point. So we started looking at other people's set lists and talked to our tech. He's like, dude, you gave me the wrong set list. So he had to find the right one and put it out there.
Yeah. Oh wow. Well, hey, good save on your guys' end. Being able to kind of do the unspoken band communication.
The eyes get wide and we know something's going on.
Eyes and the eyebrows go up for
What's
sure.
up with this key, guys?
Yeah.
I love that.
But the thing is like if you know the guys and you know the songs, even if something goes wrong, recovery's quick and easy. And we're willing to laugh at ourselves. We're not so serious about it. I mean, there's professionalism, but then there's also room to like laugh at a mistake or something that's gone on. When we were doing the high watts, we had a rule, our guitar player Space, I think, kind of started this whole thing where if you made like a real mistake on a song, for a full bar, you walked around with your hands in the air and then you could grab your instrument again. Like you just stop.
Yeah.
Like
I love
everybody, that was me. So
Over
what
here.
happens is, exactly. So you do that, and then everyone on stage, you know, we're all laughing, we're sharing the joke, and the people in the audience laugh at us. So now your mistake became a moment. You know, the people like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, he made a mistake, and you laugh about it rather than, man, these guys suck. They totally blew that part. You know.
Yeah. Well, and
I love that.
and that's like life, is it not? It's like if you can go with the flow on those moments and treat it with humor, it's a lot better than bringing an awkward energy to a
course.
situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Of
it's like
course, it
growing up, they always-
diffuses the whole thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, I was always
Were
taught
you-
it was all about attitude
Yeah.
growing up. And I was
Yeah.
like, but it was like attitude is kind of like a part of the concept, but I think that context explains it all. Life is
Yeah.
all about context.
Yeah, man.
Because those mistakes, those aren't mistakes. Those moments happen when you're on stage. And I remember when I was younger, I was like, oh dear God, just let none of those type of things happen. Now
Yeah.
I'm just like, the only thing I'm waiting for is those moments so that I can act upon them and try to turn them like you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's better to make a mistake and be like, over here, baby.
Yeah,
And get
yeah.
everybody involved in that than start to like flinch and be like, uh-oh, I didn't play right.
Yeah.
That takes everybody out of the
Yeah.
energy of the potential of the moment.
Yeah. Right.
know?
Yeah.
Of course.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great
Yeah.
point. It's there's something I figured out really early on with doing sound at like DIY punk rock club gigs. So this was
Which you
any
did a lot.
yeah, which I did a lot starting out, and it was any kind of band from like working, you know, Voodoo Glow Skulls, Casualties, you know, bands that like DIY touring, been around forever, punk bands, to kids that had just started like 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, and they're, you know, getting on stage for some of their first gigs. And I noticed that the pros who had been doing this for years and years brought a comfortability to the stage, that they're in a command to the instrument just through their experience. And the people that
Sure.
were really arrogant, you know, and when they were cool as people, that really came through their instrument. So like when they were cool and down to earth, you could feel the vibe of the room change. And it was the same thing when people were really arrogant and like, you know, if things weren't going well, you know, whatever it was, like either within the band or like technical issues, whatever, people who were really upset by that, it brought a, you know, that energy into the room. And the same thing with the kids who were nervous. You know, they were standing on stage playing
Yeah.
and weren't moving very much. And you felt nervousness in the audience. And it was something really key that I picked up on. And moments like that you're talking about are why, you know, when you're seeing a band, like a professional band in a club, and you guys are on stage and you're having a good time, the audience can feel that. And even when moments, you know, you make a mistake and you can laugh it off, the audience might not understand exactly what that feels like to a musician, but they can pick up on that and they can feel it. And especially with working with you and actually seeing you play and working with you in person, you've got such a just a well-rounded perspective, grounded perspective. I'm not sure the right way to put it.
Well-grounded, let's say.
Well-grounded, yeah,
You know, what the
well-grounded
hell?
perspective. It's when you're in the room and you're on stage, I feel that sort of calmness, and I just feel like that sort of like, yeah, everything's cool vibe when you play.
Right.
And I was just wondering how you've sort of honed that over the years, where that comes from, how you maintain that mindset on the road.
Well, I mean, that just comes over time. I mean, I certainly wasn't always that way. In my youth, I wasn't that way. I remember being
Right.
petrified to
Yeah.
get out on stage and play things and do stuff, you know, at certain points. But I think that it's like anything else, you know, just experience. You go over it enough times that you know you've got this. I remember people say, you know, you're going on like on a big festival, are you nervous? No, I know
Yeah.
all these songs, so
Yeah.
I'm not nervous at all.
Yeah.
You know, it's when you feel, when you're worried that you don't know the material, or you're worried that your abilities aren't going to carry you through, you know, that's when you get nervous and uptight. But, you know, we've
Yeah.
done these things so many times. I mean, honestly, we don't even rehearse. This is going to be a weird year because we are going to rehearse because we have a new record coming out. You know, so, and we're, you know, changing up a few things. But normally, like we literally rehearse whenever either there's a new member coming in that needs to get comfortable, or we have a new record and we have to learn the songs, which I still have to learn the songs on this new record coming out because
Yeah.
we start, you know, in August, you know. But once you've played a song so many times, it's just ingrained in you, you know. I mean,
Right.
we've done shows, not that I would say I'm proud of it or condoning it, but we've gotten a little loose and had a few drinks. I remember, or kind of remember, one time I had my birthday playing the House of Blues in Houston, and things got a little bit loose, and I was pretty much at my tipping point, and then somebody sent up Jack Daniel's shots for us, and I literally don't remember the last 3 songs of the set, and we even came out and did an encore, but we've played them so many times that it was easier for me to play those songs than it was to walk. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like,
By that.
you have that ingrained. But if it's a new gig, you're toast. There's no way you're getting through that if you don't know this material. You're going to completely fall apart.
Yeah.
But once you get to that point of having played enough that even if things go wrong, the train's not coming off the tracks, then everything else is good. You know what I mean? We never have stopped a song unless we've decided to stop a song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like we can recover and go on, but every once in a while, like, Kevin, if he feels something's gone a little sideways, he's like, whoa, hang on, everybody. We're going to try this one again. And we've done that,
Yeah.
Remember, there's a live Candlebox record we did at the Whiskey back in 2013, I think. That actually was one of the first live records that I mixed for us. And we left it in there. Something what got on, Kevin got distracted somehow, and he blew one of the verses for Far Behind. And he literally was like, whoa, stop. He's like, there's no way. Because I've been doing this song, for 25 years, however long it's been. He's like, I just blew the lyrics. I lost my spot. He goes, let's start this one again. So we did it from the top. But to the point of you're saying of being relaxed, when I mixed the record, I was like, that's in there. We got enough room on the disc. We can keep it. He's like, yeah, keep it in there. So literally our mistake and our restart is on the live record. We did it on purpose.
Yeah.
I'm downloading that tonight.
Yeah, I was gonna say I gotta
I love
go.
that.
I gotta go check that out. Oh yeah, I love that too.
It's a hard one to find.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I was gonna
That's
say
cool.
I'll hit the YouTube and I'll see if I can do some digging and see.
I'll
if
go
it's...
crate digging in the streams, man.
Yeah,
I got like 5 streams now of music stuff.
Yeah. I'll
It's got to be in one of them.
Yeah, it's gotta be. It's gotta be on one of them.
Yeah.
That's great though.
Yeah.
But this was you get these weird business deals and everything, and this was one of these ones where we got a deal for a live record, and it ended up being it just kind of fell apart on a lot of fronts. But they billed it as Best of Candlebox, and down below the track listings in an asterisk it says recorded live at the Whiskey. So it's not really billed as a live record. So somebody was trying to cash in on a deal to be a Best of Candlebox record, but doing it on a budget. So, but it's out there. You can find it. It's around.
Okay. Well, I'm definitely checking out that cut of Far Behind, because anytime there's any weird noises on a studio record, live record, people heckling and then the artist responds to it. There's a few records like that. It's I'm all about any weird incidental moments like that in a record. That's always that's the shit.
That song's got tricky lyrics though.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, they're like, the cadence of them is like, it comes quick, so I can understand getting tripped up on the lyrics.
Well, and for me too, I always find too, like, I end up running, playing in like bars and clubs and stuff. I'm the guy taking care of the technical stuff as far as making sure the sound is good and like our monitor mixes are good. And I'm sort of, you've worked with me before, Adam. It's like just me being the techie guy in the band. It's like, that's my, whenever we play gigs, that's my job. And there's times where I might have played a song over and over again and we've rehearsed it, but if, wait, is there something weird happening in the monitor? And then all of a sudden it's like you're at the chorus or, the song's going by, and then at a certain point it's, you have to learn to switch hats of like, okay, well, I need to like take the tech hat off in the middle of a set and just, even if things are going wrong, like I'm the bass player right now, and you got to be able to focus back on that world. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of feel once the band plays that first note, that hat's got to be put away for the day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a learning curve for sure. And that was actually, you gave me some of the most valuable advice I've gotten from anybody so far as music goes. And I don't know if you remember this, but we were at the Rainbow hanging out after a gig. It was a rock camp gig. And we were talking, a couple of the crew was there. And I was, we just had a moment where we were kind of like talking about music and life and career stuff. And I have, a bunch of different things that I'm trying to do. I'm a musician, and I related to you a lot in that way because I, tech and I do a lot of these other things to, make
Yep.
ends meet. And you said, no matter what, at the core of who I am, I'm always a musician, even if I'm,
that's real.
working on all of these different things, or I'm taking other projects that aren't playing, and I'm working in these different fields in music. I'm ultimately, at the end of the day, a musician, and that's what I do.
Yep.
And it's about just knowing where your core is and then keeping that core strong and feeding that, even if you're working in other gigs at the moment. And that was just said so perfectly at just the right time. And it pops into my head fairly often when I have a lot of things going on and on my plate. I just got to remember, like,
Of course.
yeah, you're a musician. That's what you do. And so.
And being a musician is what makes you good at the other things. I mean, I don't trust a monitor engineer that's never been in a band because they don't know what it's like up there. I mean, they know what the sound is coming out, but they don't know what it feels like to be on stage and not have the right mix when they're trying to perform. You know what I mean? It's just a different thing. If you have that firsthand experience, a good front of house guy should have been in a band, even a good tour manager should have been in a band. You know what I mean? It's being a musician allows you to know how to do those other things well. Because when you do that job, you're like, I would want it like this. You know what I mean? And so you do for other people the way you would want it done for you.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
It's the truth though.
Yeah, it is.
As somebody who plays live for a living, I don't ask for more in the monitors. I don't address sound people when I play out because my expectation is really that low.
Right.
And it's been because I've been conditioned to the conditions out here.
Right.
Growing up, we experienced a lot of stuff like that. So I'm like, when you are in those rare situations when you're like, here's a person who knows what they're doing and cares and is like, no, I'm gonna take care of you. You're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It's like, I know that I play better because I fucking feel better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I feel less like the world's a gimme.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Sure.
So it's special.
Yeah.
It's special.
Oh, well.
and you learn to adapt it. I hate to say lowering expectations, but like for me, when I get into a place, like certain guys, they want all this stuff in their monitor mix. It's like, if I'm like, we tour sometimes with our own console and we have like our little iPad at that point, and it's saved from the day before, yada, yada. I do actually have a whole mix in my wedges,
Awesome.
But when it's anything else, all I want in that wedge is I want Kevin's vocal and I want my vocal, because at the end of the day, all I need that wedge for is to be able to sing to him. I can hear the drums on the stage, and usually the guitars and everything else are coming off the mains or out of the side fills. But even if I can't hear that, if I can hear the vocal and the drums, I can do my job. Everything else is a luxury item at that point, especially if you're doing a festival and, you get those throw and goes. It's like you got 10 minutes to get a whole band up, mic'd up, mixed, and ready to go. It's just like, don't even bother asking for something. I can't tell you how many times I've just unplugged them up. Like seriously, like this, whatever's coming out is so wrong. I can't take it. It's unplugged, and I can do my job better without it.
Yeah, right, exactly. Oh man, that's getting to be my life for a minute because it's as
out there.
Yeah, as we're recording this, this will come out in a couple weeks, but I'm getting ready to leave on a flight at 5 a.m. tomorrow, and it's going to be a string of festivals and fairs and all that kind of stuff. And the first few are I'm super excited, but it's definitely the first few are throw and goes, and it's going to be a test for the first run of gigs, and then I think the end of it is all headlining like club theater-y gigs. So it's just going to be like at that point you got time to sound check, and you got time to eat, and you got time to do all the stuff that you got to do. So the first
So
few
is
are
this
going
your
to be.
band?
Oh no, this
I was
is.
going to say sorry. Is this your band that I worked some stuff?
Oh no, we're planning like that'll be more of the DIY tour in October, but this is an actual proper teching tour. I'm going out. Well, I posted.
You gotta say.
I posted about it today. I'm on the Lita Ford crew, so I'm going to be going out and doing drums for that.
Oh, right on, man.
Yeah. So it's this'll. I've only done like van ground touring before, so this is my first taste of like fly dates and things like that. So I will be disappearing into airports very soon. That'll be my life.
Are you guys gonna bus any of it?
Not yet. I think I don't know exactly what's going to be coming up later in the year or next year, but if there's like a really big run where we're opening up for somebody, then we'll do like the bus thing. But other than that, it's either all fly date stuff, or it'll be fly to one place and then van traveling in like a specific region.
Sure.
So it's a lot of airports and a lot of check bags and a lot of sleeping in the gate and stuff like that.
Sleeping in the gate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's I'm actually going from I've got a writing session right after this because I'm going to be gone next week. So we're getting in a writing session before I leave. And then I'm gonna go home and finish packing my carry-on, and then I've literally just planned on I'm driving to the guitar tech's house, and then we're gonna Uber from there. So I'm just gonna sleep on the plane. And so it's
I guess that's what you're gonna do.
Yeah. And I was gonna say, tomorrow's just a travel day, so I'm not too worried about it. I'll have time to sleep somewhere in there.
Oh yeah, you'll crash hard, but you have time to recover.
Yeah.
One
so,
hopes.
I'll be all right.
Yeah. That'll be safe.
Yeah, you learn how to pick up those little sleep spots where you can, especially with the fly dates. Those wear you out more than anything else because you know it is. You get like 5 a.m. lobby calls the day after the show, in the morning after the show, because you got another one the next day. The bus is the best way to go if you can get it because you can sleep.
Yeah. That's I think eventually we'll get into some of that, but for now I'm just so stoked to be like getting back in it, man, and being a part of all that that it's like that's just. I feel like, any little bit of I'm not getting enough sleep. It's like, I'm not even going to go there. It's like, whatever, man. I'm just stoked that I'm going to be doing this. And I'm just, I'm excited. So.
It's all about the power nap, man. Go down for like 20 minutes. Reset your whole system. You're ready to go again.
Yeah.
That's life, man. I do like 10 of those a day. You don't need to sleep overnight.
Yeah.
You're missing out on all that night.
Yeah, exactly. Well.
Yeah.
Cool, man. This was so great having you on the podcast today, Adam, and it was so great to get to talk to you about your process and a little bit about your touring and writing and things like that.
It's an honor.
Yeah, it was. You're one of the people that I like to put in the camp of there's the people that you work with, and it's like, man, I wish I could work with more people like that. Just super cool, super knowledgeable, and willing to sort of share their experience and expertise on things. And man, it's like anytime I've worked with you or hung around you, you fit into that cool vibe. And, I just appreciate you, man.
Likewise. Matter of fact, I'll try and keep you in the loop if we ever need someone going out and doing some extra work, because you'd be great to hang with and all that kind of stuff. Anytime, I'd offer you a playing gig, but that would be bass now, wouldn't it?
No, man, I wouldn't dream of that. But I was gonna say, I want to set up your SVT and your P bass. Don't want to play through it, so that'll be if you need somebody to go out with you, that'll be that would be cool, man.
No, that would be awesome. Hey, man, things happen. We actually, I think they already filled the spot, but one of our techs for this fall tour coming up just took another gig. He's going out with the Counting Crows.
So, nice. Okay.
Mix things up. Sean's going out with us. Sean's gonna tech, and he's gonna play keys and tech and fill in and do a little bit of everything.
Awesome. So, that's awesome, man. Well, cool. I was gonna say
get the connection up.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we definitely need to get Walker on here, and we need to get Sean at some point, man. They're anybody who's familiar with Bad Donkey, who's seen them at Bravery Brewing or the Rock Inn, the greatest bar band of all time, in my opinion.
Sweet.
Yeah. I was gonna say, we didn't even get into that actually. You mixed their record, but and so if anybody's wanting to hear Adam's mixing abilities, it's like go check out that Bad Donkey record because it slams.
There you go.
He
slaps and bops and twats.
Yeah. Anything else you wanted to get out there?
Better.
Yeah. Anything else you wanted to get out there, Adam, or plug or throw out there, or message you wanted to send before we wrap up?
Just dropping in to say hey, man.
Yeah.
Just glad this stuff's starting to pick up again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Same here, man.
Oh yeah.
Same here. Well, yeah, it was great talking with you, man. And yeah, next time Candlebox is in LA and I'm in town, I'd love to, come see you guys play and hang out, man. It'll be great to catch up in person.
Hell yeah.
October 24th.
All right.
Shit, yeah.
I was
All
gonna
right.
say, hey, I think I'll actually be here for that. So shit.
Hell yeah.
I'll put that in my calendar right now.
Oh, sure.
Cool, man.
Fuck yeah.
Thank you,
Awesome.
guys. Pleasure,
Thank you,
man.
Thanks,
Adam.
Adam. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Awesome. then-
And scene.
yeah, we'll cut there.
He just straight disappeared.
Cool.
I hope he's okay.
Yeah.
He never came back. Oh, he's alive.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
No, he's doing some work in the studio over there. Yeah,
Yeah.
we just wrapped up. Cool. Awesome, man. Thank you. There was a lot of
Awesome. Thank you,
great-
guys. And I'm going to go downstairs and finish making some dinner and get on with it. So have a good travel tomorrow. And
Yeah. Thanks, man.
sleep on the plane, man. That's what it's all about. Get the window seat and a neck pillow. That's the
Neck pillow
survival
for real.
techniques.
Yep, I got the neck
Especially
pillow
if you're
and
tall, too.
yeah, I was gonna say I got the neck pillow covered, so we'll see if I can get the window seat tomorrow. Yeah, that's
It's the only way I can sleep on a plane. It's too hard on any other seat for me.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
Awesome.
So cool. Take it easy, man.
Pleasure, fellas.
Right on.
All right. See you guys.
It's like the most common fucking thing, but when you're like, ooh, I could use this as like a sign right now, like as a symbol, you're like, there's no fucking box to be found.
Yeah.
And if it is, it's like, it's all flat and you gotta fold it out.
Yeah.
Ah!
So outros.
So outros.
So
Was that
outros.
Greek? What is that?
I don't know. It could be.
Is that, okay.
It sounds.
So
yeah.
outros.
So outros. Oh
Okay.
yeah. See, I see where you're going. With
Yeah, it's
that.
like
I
many,
gotcha.
many moons of outros to you.
Many.
Or something, I don't know.
Peace and
I
outros.
hope I'm not stepping on anybody's toes with that. That's
No,
Not
Pete-
trying to get too ethnic.
Peace and outros be with you, sir.
Peace and outros be with you and
Yes.
amongst your kin. And may you walk in the blessing of the podcast, Lord.
Oh, well, thank you. Do you have a little book for me to hand me, a little pamphlet
I
of some
snuck it
kind?
into your pocket while I was blessing you.
Oh, thank you very much. You shifty
It's not a
bastard.
sin because I'm saving you.
Yeah, well, despite that being a shifty move, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's always good to get
It's for the
some
good of your soul, young man.
literature.
Yeah, not that
Um,
pocket.
Yeah, well, I'm trying not to. I'm at the point in my life where I don't hold expectations to things. I just, take
You
things. for
grind
what
them
they are.
against the surface of them.
Yeah, exactly.
These are my expectations. It's just like a fucking bandsaw. Yeah, I get
Yeah.
it. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm teaching you. Good.
Exactly.
Good.
So, I try to just let things be, and see what happens. And so, wanted to invite Adam on the podcast, and dare I say, it lived up to my expectations. And I was kind of hoping for a little bit of like sort of a bass, session musician masterclass kind of a thing. And I don't know what that hand gesture is, but I just did it.
It's like you're conducting.
Yeah.
Ba-da-da-dun.
Yeah, a little bit. And yeah, he just, he's one of those dudes that like, I always love getting to talk to him because I just feel like he's full of experience and just wisdom. And, I feel like some of that was left onto the podcast floor and I'm happy about it.
I detected a fine misting of it all over the studio surfaces.
Fine mist.
All over the episodes. Let's see, you're being cagey like, so did you, it's not some guy, this isn't people on the street, watch yourself. It's not that, so where did you know this guy from? Expose your true understandings.
Well, I met,
That sounded dumb.
I met Adam at the Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp gigs that I've done before, and he was a repeat counselor, and actually just one of those small world moments where, we got to talking, we had some downtime, and I just told him where I was from, and he's like, oh, yeah, he lives in like Canyon Country or Santa Clarita, not too far away. And so it was one of those things where it's like, oh, yeah, you live here. And then he's like, oh, hey, you live in the AV. Do you know Walker Gibson? And I was like, yeah, I know Walker. I've worked with Walker. And he's like, yeah. It's like,
I work with Walker?
Yeah, I'm mixing the Bad Donkey record. And we were like, no way.
Wow.
And it was a weird AV bubble
Yeah.
in a surrounded in, North Hollywood. It was just this little pocket. Especially I was with Jeff Collier on that gig, friend of the podcast. And he turned me on to that band back in the day. And he was like, hey, you got to check these guys out. And, he sort of, played me some of like, I think their demo stuff that he happened to have, like, stuff that he had tracked to his place, like early stuff. So that was like kind of in constant rotation on road trips and things like that. So, it was just, it was a weird connection to have with this dude. And like I said, he gave me some really great advice when we were hanging out at the Rainbow after a gig. And it was just, he's just down to earth and cool. And, I like the guy. He's a solid dude. I would sum all that up as a solid dude.
Nice summation.
Yeah.
Information quota. Satisfied.
You'll allow it?
I'll allow it.
Okay.
Submissible as evidence.
Yeah.
Admissible as evidence. Oof. I forgot to bring my briefs with me to court. Oh, Jesus.
You're making me a little nervous as my attorney right now.
We'll be fine.
Okay.
I will bone the prosecutor.
Be gentle.
I'm irresistible. Yeah, well, gentle's not my thing. But I will definitely get you your freedom.
Well.
You will not be found not guilty, but that is not the criteria for beating a murder rap.
Well, thank you for being my Better Call Saul, as it were.
It's all good.
It's all good.
Man.
And thank you for listening to this podcast.
Did you listen to all that, you guys?
If you're here, if you're hearing my luscious, dulcet tones right now, of course you're still listening to this podcast.
Your luscious, dulcet tones right
Yeah,
now.
all the wonderfulness coming out of my voice.
You got that hum. You sound like you're from the Midwest, even though I know you're not.
Really?
To me, to my ear. But to
I
my
don't know what
ear,
you're talking about
I
over
sound
there.
like a rough and tumble East Coast person, and nobody says that I sound like that.
I wasn't even going to say that.
Well, fuck you! I'm Al Pacino! Oh! Enough. We've got to start respecting him while we got him.
Yes.
Enough.
Thank you. Thank you, citizens. We will see you next week.
Don't play with fireworks.
Sonic City Council was created by Jesse Davidson and Davey Sipes and engineered by Max Taylor at Desert Sound Studio in Palmdale, California. Thank you to Disaster Cabinet for the outro music. Intro music written by Max Taylor. Sonic City Council is produced in association with Amped Music Academy and the Showcase Venue. For more information, visit theshowcasevenue.com.